Okay, so it's been maybe like 10 days since my last video, and it's just because I didn't get around to recording a voiceover because I thought I was having a lot of bad hair days. And I'm still having one, but it's time to like suck it up. I do want to talk about the title of this video, which is something I've been meaning to address on Instagram and Facebook, but it's a very long topic, so I thought that video and my like using hand gestures and raising my voice may hone in on the point a little better, so we're gonna go for it. And here we go with 5 reasons why you may not be losing weight, or more specifically fat, and despite trying everything that you know how. So I'm gonna go through the 5 that I see most often, and then that will be this video. So let's get started. Number 1, you are eating too little. Now, the standard thing that most people would say is you're eating too much, you need to cut down on food, and that's the only way you'll lose weight. They could be right, but I have seen from experience, especially working with a lot of women with a dieting history, that the first instinct that everyone has is to cut their calories dangerously low. I'm talking like if they're maintenance, and maintenance is defined as how many calories you need in order to just sustain yourself and like your current weight. So what you would burn if you weren't doing anything extra and just kind of lying there and doing maybe your daily activities. Your maintenance, let's say hypothetically, is 1800, which is kind of average for a lot of women. They'll drop it down to like 1100, 1200, like instantly, and a lot of weight could fall off, but your body is built for survival. It's built to adapt to harsh environments. So if you cut down that much for a long period of time, eventually your hormones will realize that something's going wrong, and they will convince your body that losing more weight is not a good idea, and you will stagnate, progress will stall, and you'll be back to square one in a way, but even worse because you're dropping your maintenance. As you lose weight, your maintenance does drop because you have less meat on your body that it needs to be sustained. So the best way to go about this is not to just drastically cut your calories, because people always say you'll go into starvation mode, which is a way to look at it. If you convince your body for long enough that you're not going to feed it properly, it's going to get used to you not feeding it properly, and it'll be unmotivated to, lose more weight or drop any necessary fat if you have fat that needs to be dropped. So the best way to handle that is controlled decreases in your calories based on like working with a coach and figuring out, okay, I'm eating X amount now, so let's do X minus 100 for 2 weeks, see how that goes. And then it's a very slow process, and the way to do it best is smaller increments so that you sustain as much of your metabolic speed as you can. I jumped the gun and went from like my maintenance of like 2,000 calories when I was like 5 years ago, 1,800 calories or 2,000 calories, jumped to 1,200 and was like, I got this is easy, salads are great, I'm totally happy with this. I lost hair, I stopped making progress, I had no definition on my body at all, I was not getting any stronger, I couldn't stay awake during classes, I was a mess. And when I started eating enough, what ended up happening was I jumped back like straight, like 900 calories, and went back to what I thought my maintenance was at 2,000, but I was gaining weight. And the reason is my body readjusted and thought, okay, Alina's only feeding me 1,100, so why would I lose when she's only going to give me this much to live? That doesn't make sense, so I've got to maintain what I have. Your body, I swear to you, is smarter than you are, so if you try and trick it, it's not going to work. You have to reassure your, basically your organs and your metabolic processes that you're not out there to like destroy yourself, that you are trying to lose fat, but you're also not trying to deprive your body of necessary nutrients or anything like that. So that's number 1, you're not eating enough and your body is just fighting to survive. Number 2, you're eating too much. Some people do eat in the surplus. If their maintenance is 2,000, they're constantly consuming 2,600 calories and they don't even realize it. A lot of us don't count how much we eat, and I understand that there are pros and cons to like meticulously writing down, I'm eating 1,100 calories a day of lettuce, blah 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 blah, whatever it is you do. I'd recommend for a few days just to write out what you eat. Don't count it throughout the day, but just like write out, I had this sandwich for breakfast, I had this type of cereal, whatever it is, just write it down. And then after a few days, maybe count it out. Like spend like 10 minutes on Google and figure out, okay, I'm eating approximately X number of calories a day, a week, and then see if it's a little higher than you anticipated, because sometimes it is. We don't account for a lot of things. Like, I forget to count calories in milk. I forget that kombucha has calories in it. I forget that a lot of things do. And it kind of puts it into perspective. So figure out how much you're eating, and then if it looks like, oh, this number may be higher than I thought, consider maybe removing 50 to 100 a week and seeing if your weight stabilizes, if it goes down a little bit, and what happens. You have to play around with the numbers, but you may be eating a little bit too much. And one of the best ways to see if this is the case is to use a tape measure and to just measure yourself once, twice a week for like a month and see if you're staying the same, if you're going up, if you're going down, and figuring out how to go from there. One other reason that eating more than necessary could be the reason that you're gaining weight is if you eat out a lot more often than you eat at home and you have less control over what's going in your food. You could be making very healthy choices. Stir fry, lots of really great salad places have recently opened up around me and I am enthralled by it, but sometimes they add things that could, hike up the numbers. Like, I saw a salad with blue cheese dressing and fried onions, and I was looking at it, my mouth started like watering because I love fried onions, but I remember reading like the back of the package of it, and it's like 2 tablespoons, it's like 200 something calories in it, and I assure you there's more than like 2 tablespoons inside that salad. So these little details, they do add up, so I'd consider like figuring out where you stand based on that. There are a lot of ways for those number 1 and 2. There are a lot of ways to figure out if you should be eating at like how much you should be eating. Like, is my maintenance 1800? Is my maintenance 2500? What is it? I still am trying to figure out what mine is. I have like a pretty good estimate based on trial and error, but everyone's very different, and there's a lot of speculation like, oh, I just have a slow metabolism, like I'm done for, I'm screwed. No, you can build it up. I'll give myself as an example. I had a metabolism that was basically at 1900 calories, and that too with like 3 hours of like working out. It was like a bad situation. I wasn't eating enough to sustain like how much activity I was putting myself through, and now my basic daily intake can be around 2500 calories, and I stay the same. Like, my weight doesn't change at 2500, and that's like working out approximately 5 times a week, sometimes 6 if I like really muster up that strength. But I have built it up, and the only way for me to have done that was to take a lot of time and figure out, okay, smaller increases over time are going to make my body a lot nicer to me, and it'll be able to handle more food. So take those things into account. Being able to eat more and burn it is a lot better than eating less and like trying to constantly like make sure your intake is very low. So if that sounds like you, that you're eating very little but your weight still isn't changing, like consider hiring a coach who can help you. The term is reverse dieting, but which is essentially figuring out how and when to add small amounts of food into your intake so that you kickstart your metabolism, you start losing weight again so that you can continue reaching your ideal weight, and eventually your metabolism will be so much more efficient, so much faster than you thought before. So I really look into those things. And if you think you're the one eating in a surplus, then small changes. Don't cut 500, don't cut like 600 calories instantly. Like, slow it down and figure out where you need to be, and it'll be a lot nicer for you. Alright, we're going to go into number 3. You are working out too little. And by working out too little, I also mean just like your daily energy expenditure, how much you're moving, walking, like going upstairs, going downstairs, biking, like whatever it is you want to do, you're not doing enough of it. We are built to move. We're descendants of hunters and gatherers who spent like 10 plus hours on their feet just in order to survive, and now those 10 plus hours are being spent at a desk staring at a computer screen. I'm very guilty of it. I'm a student. I literally live in front of my laptop. It's pretty terrible, and I know it's it's an inevitable thing based on like how society's changing, the rise of technology. We love tablets, like everything, all of it. So the best way isn't to fight the system, but to like work around it and figure out ways to become more active. So one thing that I try and do is if I'm studying or working on something, every 30 to 40 minutes or so, I'll get up. I could just like walk around the room. I may just like kind of stand there and take some steps and like stretch a little bit, go walk around the library, around the block if I'm in my room, and this just gets your body moving, gets your blood flowing, increases how much energy you're spending, so more of your food is being utilized by your body and not kind of just like sitting there in reserve, being unused and then possibly being converted to fat. We don't move enough as a society. Working out 1 hour a day is fantastic, and I would highly recommend it. You don't have to go all out like intense 60 minutes of like high energy kickboxing type, like I'm not asking you to do that. Walk. Start off with walking 30 minutes in the morning before you go to work. Go, when you wake up, try doing some stretches or like a 10-minute at-home workout. There are tons of options for those. And this just gets your body into a burning type of state so that it knows, oh, I'm going to be moving. The food that is coming into me is going to be used. I don't need to store this fat. And it's a mental game too. You have to basically remember that I have been sitting for over 3 hours. It is time for me to move. And as working out is concerned, that's step 2. Step 1 is just essentially adding more movement into your life. And working out is a way to enhance that and to like target specifically how you want to look, the aesthetic element of it. But number 1 is always going to be focusing on just. Number 4 is you're working out too much. And I see this a lot with people who are newer to the gym, who are so excited to like pound out like 10 or 12 exercises per workout, multiple sets, like they go so hard, and it's very, very, very like encouraging to watch, and I'm motivated by the energy, by the commitment. I am one of these people, when I find something that I really like, I am obsessed about doing everything that has to do with it. So if I go in for a leg workout, I am tempted to do every leg exercise I know. So like 20 exercises, 4 sets, like I could be there for 3 hours if I let like that OCD element kick in. But after doing that for a while, your adrenal system, like it slows down, you become exhausted. There are bags under my eyes a lot because I used to do that so often. You'll break out, your cortisol, your stress hormone will skyrocket. You just need to make sure that when you work out, you're doing so efficiently, but you don't need to be there for more than an hour. Unless you're on like a stricter program, if you've added some low intensity cardio or whatever to your program, then it may take longer if you have longer rests. But all of that included, an hour and a half maximum if you're just doing all of the extra credit stuff. But like your main workout shouldn't be more than 45 to 60 minutes. And if it is, you could be overexhausting your muscles. You could be tearing more of the muscle tissue than necessary. And the reason that'll prevent fat loss is because your body will be taking so much time and energy to like improving or fixing what you broke, that it won't be able to handle losing weight. Like your body only will be like lose fat if it knows that it's going to survive without it. If you put it into such a stressful environment where like I am constantly repairing this leg like tissue, this arm tissue, it's not going to respond to you. It's like it's like a child. If you don't treat the child well, they're just going to be disobedient. They're not going to want to listen to you. The more you punish your child for like not doing something that you want, the less likely you're going to have a good relationship with them. You have to treat them nicely for them to like be nice to you. From my experience with children, I'm only 22. I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that's how the psychology works. And it's the same with your body. You have to be nice to it. Like eat some vegetables. Like don't overtrain. It's not going to help. And overtraining is very easy to do once you start loving it. I love it, and I put timers on my phone now to make sure I get out of the gym, because I could be there for hours if I'm not careful, and I'll actually not see progress if I'm there for too long at this point, because I will wear my body down. Your body will only respond efficiently if you're treating it properly. And it's like, it's a really nice thing to know though, because that means you don't have to kill yourself to look the way you want. There's no reason to be miserable trying to be healthy. It's actually the opposite. If you're miserable, you're most likely doing it incorrectly, and it won't last. So keep that into consideration. Write out what you're doing for your workouts. Show it to a trainer, show it to a coach. I see workouts like every day that some people are doing, and I give them honest advice, like you need to cut down because this is too much and it's not going to help you after a certain point. You're going to reach the point of no return, and it's not worth it, because you could be spending that time with family or doing schoolwork or playing with your cat, like whatever it is that you do for fun. Like make sure you are taking that into account. And if you have questions about that, you can always ask me. I'm like a nice person when this camera is off. Number 5, as to the 5th reason why you're possibly not losing weight, fat, however you want it. I like saying losing fat, but losing weight is more colloquially accepted. Oh god, I don't speak English. Okay, so number 5 is a hormone or medical reason. And when I say medical, it's only to cover what I don't know about, but there are a lot of autoimmune disorders, and people have thyroid issues. Autoimmune disorders include Hashimoto's, alopecia, I've had that, and a variety of hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism. All of them have different symptoms and different people react to different ways, but essentially if your hormones are not acting the way they should, it could be hindering your ability to lose fat. And that won't constantly be able to be fixed by like working out. You will have to adjust your diet and possibly take medication. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to say you need or do not need medication. A doctor could only tell you that. From my experience dealing with like different types of I had 2 types of like autoimmune issues and hormonal issues. The only way for me to fix it was to eat enough and eat enough of the right things. I thankfully didn't have to take any type of medication. I know some people who do, and work with your doctor on like how to figure out the best way to approach, sorry, it's really hot in here, how to approach losing weight while taking this medication, and come up with a game plan based on that. There's certain things you can do, certain things you have to avoid. And I look into getting a blood test. A lot of people don't get regular blood tests, and it could actually tell you a lot if you're deficient in something that could be hindering your fat loss, because your body's compensating for the deficiency by holding on to extra weight. There's a lot of reasons your body will hold on to extra weight, because it's trying to survive during a period where it's not getting what it needs. So give it what it needs, and then it'll respond a lot better. And as far as hormonal problems can go, there's one hormone that's very, very important, and that's cortisol, which is your stress hormone. I mentioned it previously. This hormone makes it very difficult for your body to want to lose weight if it's very high, because it tells your body that something's wrong. And if you stress out too much, it's just going to hinder all of your results. So like, relax, read a book, go for a walk, get some fresh air, laugh more, do these things for the sake of your health. Like, if you need them, if it's not motivating enough that it feels good to relax, then like do it for the sake of your health, because I promise you, if you're not relaxed, you will not achieve the ideal result that you're looking for, because again, your body is smarter than you. It knows when something's wrong. It usually knows before you realize it. So be nice, it'll be okay. So thank you for listening to me speak for a very long period of time. I tried my best to look at the camera the entire time this time, and I'm kind of proud of myself for doing it. And yeah, thank you for joining me. I hope these tips helped out. If you have any questions, always leave me a comment, and you can email me at the email in my bio, or it's going to be right here, fitness360withalina@gmail.com. If you're interested in coaching, if you have a question, visit my website. My entire spiel on who I am, if you're interested, is there. Like and subscribe if you're into that sort of thing. It's very motivating and fun to get those notifications. So anyway, thank you, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.